All right, lads. Morning. Well, I just interviewed a new guy. His name's Gabriel. I feel really good about it. Like, I got a really good feeling that this guy is. He's actually seen some of the videos, which is halfway unfortunate. I really typically, most of my employees don't even really know I have a channel or watch it. Well, I think now that most of them do, actually. But anyway, feel really good about it. But that's not what this video is about. So recently, I've been talking about this new business concept I have, which is like, if you want better customers, get better competition, right? And again, in my opinion, this takes the heat off the customer and puts the pressure on me. It gives me a concrete way that I can control. I don't have to depend on convincing anybody, right? I just don't have to convince them. So, and we've been practicing what we preach on this getting better competition thing. So what we did yesterday, the projects we're working on yesterday was this. I don't know if y'all know what reverse osmosis water is. It's like really high purified water. You can't use like regular piping with it because it'll eat metal. It wants to steal electrons from anything. And so you have to have special piping if you haven't. Like, this is 2.5-inch multi-million-dollar RO system, and it's got this like butt fusion piping, and we only need a few fittings, and it's like the fittings alone are like $3,000 or something like that, $2,800. So it's very technical. I've never seen it, never done it before. Working on that. Then we're also working on this like fiberglass piping for this boiler system that like takes this 2-part epoxy resin to like install fittings and stuff. And it's shit I've never heard of either. And we're doing it. And then at the same time, we're at this hospital where we're doing this really massive excavation that's going to take all types of fancy shoring and shore jacks. And your boy's a master plumber. I do know how to do the math to like, as part of a Texas master plumber test, you have to be able to like do the math to size shoring and shore jacks and whales and all the stuff like that, which I can do, and I do trust it's just charts. You're looking at charts. It's pretty easy to do. But it's those 3 projects that I was working on all day yesterday are Roto-Rooter can't do it. ARS can't do it. A lot of every company I've worked at would have potentially punted this work and been like, ugh, this isn't stuff we do, right? But I am so used to being uncomfortable, so used to taking on challenges, and I speak the language so well that like a new pipe, a new process, a new procedure, it's not intimidating to us, right? And now you look at these jobs we did yesterday. Of the plumbing companies that are in Dallas, how many can take on all 3 of those projects? How many companies can do these jobs, right? It's very few. It's very few. So who am I competing against? The best of the best. The highest tier of plumbing companies is who I'm competing against on this work. So I'm not having to figure out how to fucking convince somebody to spend more money with me. You know what I mean? The people at this level, it's going to be crazy expensive. It's going to be hard to do a lot of this type of work for less than $8,000, even if it only takes 1 day. So we're this is my method for generating a higher gross profit margin in the same amount of time, right? Because that's the goal, right? Like I said, I don't make the price, the calculator does. So with that being the case, if I'm just saying, it's just cost of goods plus margin, how can I make more money? Well, I have to get to a higher tier of work. I have to get to shit where I'm dealing with a handful of fittings that cost me $3,000. And then I'm still doing this work in 1 day, so the gross margin on that job is very high. It may be a smaller margin than Mr. Toilet Flapper, you know what I mean? But that 40% gross off this project is a ton of gross margin in a day. And the more qualified and capable I get, the more tricky jobs I can take on, the more like jobs that fewer people have the capabilities to do inherently are going to cost more money. Inherently. Like it's impossible to avoid. And so it's really starting to pay dividends now. I feel like I'm kind of imbuing this into my whole company. And the biggest thing I'm having like focusing on today in particular is like the quality of the product, right? Like we have got to be selling a premium product. And so as my company's starting to get bigger, I'm getting super paranoid, like really paranoid about diluting the product, about not having as quality of a product as I get, just diluting it. But as I get bigger, I want this whiskey to be stronger. I want it, as we refine our distilling processes, I want it to get better, making more at a higher quality. So I've really been driving home to everybody, because guys, at the end of the day, right, my company, it's 2 years old. I'm the owner, right? Like, and so you guys see me, right? Like I don't know if at first sight am going to give you all this confidence. I'm slightly younger. I'm younger than you would think if you just saw the statistics of my company and like what we do. I'm not the guy you're going to expect. So that means we have zero margin for error. That means like I'm a proven product as a plumber, but Dyson Plumbing is still somewhat, we're only 2 years old, right? Like we're only 2 years old. So we, in my opinion, get zero benefit of the doubt. No margin for error. So where someone else would maybe, like another company could maybe leave a bit of a mess, maybe half-ass a job, we can't do that. We don't get that opportunity. We are the young guns, and we've got to prove it for several years, and then maybe 10 years from now we'll be trading on such a good name that it won't be as critical every job. But like I've been telling guys, like, man, if you make a mistake and a pipe busts and flood and our insurance takes care of it, that sucks, right? That sucks. But we're gonna handle it, and that's a big mistake. It may cost us 30 grand, right? But if you're doing shoddy work repeatedly, that's not flooding nothing out, but it just looks like shit. You're doing a mess. You're not caulking toilets. You're not cleaning up your job site. That's all they see, right? They don't know plumbing. They don't know HVAC. They don't know what you're doing. That's why they called you to hire you, right? So if the pipe is straight, you know what I mean? That's all they're gonna be able to tell. If your pipe's crooked and looks like dog shit, they can obviously tell. But other than that, they're not gonna have any way to really know if you're a good plumber, right? But if they see the toilets caulked cleanly, the site has been cleaned very well. We laid down plastic where we're walking so we don't make a mess. We taped up, we put plastic over the walls and over their desks. We just did all this extra stuff to make sure we're conscientious, and we leave it. I mean, I tell guys like, fuck, man, vacuum the room next door to us, man. Even if we weren't in there, I want them to think it's better than when they got there. And because that's all they fucking see. They don't know what a good plumber is. But now, this area is spotless. You were like a ghost in the night. You weren't asking me 100 fucking questions. You weren't needy. You fucking solved all the problems I wanted you to solve. And it looks beautiful. And that is all they know. So like if we can never, ever, ever go back on the quality, right? And if we make repairs that don't end up holding up, people are going to keep calling us, right? So it's like we have, maybe one day we'll have the ability to fucking slap it together. Maybe one day we'll have the ability to cut corners and not just do like the ultra premium work that we do. But it has got to be a premium product. It's because we're charging a premium price. I'm paying everybody premium wages. It's just not up for debate. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with. See you later.